Visual perception is the ability for the brain to comprehend and interpret everything that the eyes see. It is an important ability for everyday tasks such as reading, writing, completing puzzles, math problems, as well as finding a missing article among many objects. Depth perception is defined as the ability to see objects in 3 dimensions and judge distance. At a glance, we are able to tell how tall something is or how far away it is from us. Eleanor Gibson and Richard Walk created the visual cliff experiment to test toddlers' depth perception. The toddlers were encouraged by their mothers to crawl onto a glass platform. Most of the children did not crawl off the visual cliff, however, they showed signs that they were aware of the glass platform. These results prompted researchers to conclude that depth perception is an ability that emerges by the time we learn to crawl. The figure-ground relationship is when we are able to distinguish an object from the background. Figure-ground perception can be reversible, which is demonstrated by optical illusions. In the following picture, what do you see? If you focused on the black areas as the figure and white as the ground, you would see 2 faces. If you did the opposite, the white area would appear to be a vase. Binocular cues are depth cues that depend on the use of 2 eyes. Retinal disparity demonstrates that each eye sees the world from a different angle. Each eye's image combines to form our vision. Monocular cues are depth cues that are available to either eye alone rather than having to use both eyes. Relative height is a monocular cue that we use when objects are higher in our visual field. We attribute them to being farther away, while if they are lower in our visual field, we assume that they are closer to us. The lower objects are the figure in the figure-ground phenomenon. Relative size is when we assume that 2 objects are similar in size, so we will most likely attribute the object that is smaller as farther away. Interposition is the monocular cue that allows us to assume that when one object is in front of another, it is closer. Relative motion is when objects appear to move with us. For example, if you are in a car, you can fixate your gaze on a house. The objects further behind the house will appear to move with you. The objects in front will seem to move backwards. The closer the objects are from the house, the faster everything seems to move. Therefore, we can assume that the faster moving objects are closer. Linear perspective is when parallel lines meet up in the distance, which we can assume means the center is farther away. The sharper the angle that the lines meet at, the farther away it seems to be. Texture gradient is the monocular cue that depicts when we can see more texture in an image. It means that those objects are closer to us. Grouping is the perceptual tendency to organize stimuli into coherent groups. 3 examples of grouping are proximity, continuity, and closure. Proximity is when we group nearby figures together, as when we see 3 sets of 2 lines and not 6 individual lines. Continuity is when we perceive continuous patterns and not discontinued alternating ones. For example, we see a straight line intertwined with a curvy one and not alternating semicircles. Closure is when we perceive a complete image that is not actually there by filling in the gaps. For example, we would see a complete triangle.